once throughout the entire time that we've met. So we'll call us to order. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Can I get a motion to approve? Cindy, all in favor? Everyone's arms went up to approve, so I'm going to say we're all in favor. What about the minutes from last meeting? Did everyone have a chance to review? Were there any changes? Nicole, as always, they were impeccable. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Jan, all in favor? Awesome. So we have a special guest with us today. You'll probably notice that we have a box with someone that you may not have seen before on your screen. So last meeting, we talked about inviting Mike Corman to provide an overview of the Economic Recovery Task Force. So Mike is the Business Development Manager with the town and is chair of the Economic Task Force. So I'm going to pass it over to him, and he's going to give us a bit of an update on what's going on in their world.
Sure. Everybody can hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. So the task force started to meet May 27th, and we've had 4 or 5 meetings so far. This group is very anxious to get something going. So we automatically started a survey, and we put the survey out for a couple weeks and got about 120 respondents. And we've actually opened up the survey again to get more respondents, because I think the 14 or 15 questions that we asked are still relevant today, and the more data we can get, the better. So we've started the survey again, but the survey overwhelmingly told us that that they wanted, the people wanted Cochrane, the town, to market the businesses and do a shop local campaign and market for tourism and do a larger marketing initiative as well. So we automatically started a shop local campaign. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's starting to roll out. It's called the Open and Safe campaign. And it is about the businesses pledging that they will be open and follow the guidelines of Alberta Health, and that they will be safe, and that these are the things in which they're doing, and they will promote those things to their customers. And then they will sign up on to shopcochrane.ca, where they will have a listing, we'll have a directory of all the businesses that are open and safe. And then once we have a big group of businesses together, we're going to start promoting that to the residents. So we're hoping that this will help the residents get a sense of, one, who's doing business, number 2, why are they doing business the way they are, and this is how safe it is. So hopefully they'll feel comfortable to be able to go and say, I want to go to that place because I feel as though they're doing everything they should be doing to make my experience safe for me. So we're hoping that will help these businesses move forward. But it's also going to morph as we move away. We're going to start to talk about, we're going to try and get the tourism message out there as well. So tourism is actually writing a grant offer right now to Alberta Tourism to try and create an outside external marketing for tourism. So we're going to sort of morph it into, talking about who's doing business in town, kind of did you meet your neighbor today? Where we sort of showcase the people who are doing business in town through video, through social media. And we say, these are the people that are living in your town. These are the people who are supporting your social programs or nonprofits. These are the people who are active in the community, and look, they run a business as well. So and then we'll showcase those out to the region, and then we actually went to council and got recommended that we do a larger external marketing campaign, and they approved us looking at what that would look like. So that would be promoting Cochrane to to Alberta, to say, this is a great place to visit, but it's also a great place to live, because one of the things that we're finding is that right now We don't have a lot of customers because of tourism being down, and we actually don't have a lot of people moving to Cochrane. The housing starts are, I think we are looking at a 1% housing start this year potentially. So we need to actually get more customers buying, more people in the houses to get more people shopping in the stores. And so we will be doing a larger marketing campaign, probably over a 2-year period. We haven't really fleshed that out yet. But we're trying to look at it somewhere in the $100,000 to $150,000 range to do that. So that's where we're at. I think that the Mayor Genung is on the task force, as well as Councillor Fedayko and McFadden, they're really, we went gung ho really quickly, and now we sort of have a break through the summer because council doesn't meet again. And I don't think we're on the council agenda for June or for the July meeting. But this group is really trying to make an impact, and it's trying to make an impact very, very quickly. And we're finding that we're not really sure what to do next. And so we're going to do a little bit of a focus on the downtown core and trying to beautify that, because we have had some complaints about the weeds and the flower beds. And so we're going to try to take that as an initiative for council as well, sort of in the near future, that we'll recommend to council that we put some money into the reimagination of the main street and the trees and the beds there. So in a nutshell, that is what we've been working on over the last little while. Yeah, it's good. We have a smaller group. I think I'd like to see more people on our group to have more ideas, but I mean, it is what it is. It's only 9 people, and we'll go from there. So any questions? Okay.
Well, I'm just going to say, because I like to jump in. Oh, wait, Mike, you don't know yet. Not a question, it's more of a comment. From our survey, we heard lots about safety and people, just needing to know they're safe and able to do things. So I love the Shop Local Open and Safe campaign. I think it's great. And that's one of the things that we're working on too, is how do we not necessarily open up businesses, but how do we get people back into the community and doing things and connecting, but in a really safe way. And lots of talk with our group too about guidelines and how those guidelines are always changing. So it's hard for people to even stay up to date on, what's allowed, what's safe, what's not. So yeah, those are conversations that are happening in this group too.
That's good. I think, we're finding that there's a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, we, just as an aside, we opened up the Shop Local campaign, and one of the pictures that we have is it's a picture of a lady holding a sign, sort of turning an open sign, like an open and safe sign. And you can see her smiling in the picture. And somebody on Facebook commented, well, why doesn't she have a mask on? And it's like, so, and then there was a huge rant about how masks do or don't do what they should or shouldn't do. And it got out of control. And so the messaging out there, people are very, they're very unaware of what the real messages are. And I think that there's an opportunity for both task force to do that, to help with that sort of messaging, to say, how many people can we have in a group? Because now it's just changed. Like they're allowing 200 people now in a certain thing, and 50 people in this and 100 people in that. And so I think that there's a great opportunity for both task force to work at that messaging and get that awareness out of what really is the opportunity, especially for events and getting people out of isolation and into their normal routine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down to that education and awareness and keeping up to date and letting people know, and the facts, right? Like you say, masks are incredibly controversial everywhere. Yeah, I will leave it there.
Well, and so with our Open and Safe campaign, I made 3,000 masks. So they have a, oh, there they are. And think, so they've got the Proudly Cochrane logo on them, and they've got hashtag Shop Cochrane, and we've handed out almost 1,500 of these.
Wow.
And so if you don't have any at FCSS, I can grab some and run some down to you. So, yes, because we want to make sure that, like, if people want to wear them, that they actually have them. These are washable, reusable, that sort of thing. And, you know, the businesses are eating them up because they're either using them for their staff or they're giving them away. And so, you know, absolutely, we want to make sure that everybody's got something there, and they are controversial, but at the same time, at least, you know, people know that they have them. So.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any specific questions for Mike or the task force?
I'm getting away easy.
No, you're not.
I just think, Mike, you touched on a good point, and I think both task forces have outlined this. And actually, before I start, I really appreciate you attending today. Connecting each of our groups together has been, you know, important, I think. And just hearing things from me all the time, people get sick of my voice here, I'm sure. So having a new male voice in this room is good, at least for my ears too. That maybe totally came across the wrong way, and I didn't mean it that way. But I'll just get to the point. You touched on a good point, and that is the messaging and awareness. And I wonder if we can't continue in some format into the future, that is something that we need to be linked on together. And how can we carry that torch together? That's, and maybe not an answer you can give today, but something I think we both groups need to think about as we move forward.
Well, just go ahead, Kim.
We're inviting Julie to our next task force meeting to talk about like communication strategy and hear some of our ideas and see if what support and direction they can provide us. So that is something we can definitely talk about next week, Mike, and see if we can find some of that, I don't know, potential to link and share that messaging.
Even, I've been driving around today delivering open and safe packages to businesses, and there are, coming into the community, there's we're under the guidance of the health code, and that is very prominent, and we know that that's there. But I wonder if, driving around, where the other messages could be put in that talk about sort of these small little things that we don't remember, like how many people can meet in this area, or maybe we, make sure that, let's say it's Centennial Plaza, that we say, well, make sure that there's, less than this many people, or make sure that you're social distancing, or maybe blast sort of the town with our messages that could be put on corrugated board and put places where we, strategically know that people may gather or otherwise. And, another message that Julie may, come up is just sort of that, let's stay positive and happy. And all that is so very important when it comes to the economic task force as well, because, we all have these unknowns that we're trying to figure out. So the more messaging, the better. I think we've done a really good job to say, yeah, we're still under the guidelines of Alberta Health, but where else could we put that message that, that helps people understand in a certain situation, we should only have this many people here, or, just sort of continue to push that message out and make it a colorful sort of, city or town of messaging all around that kind of helps people understand and read wherever you don't think you may read it, whether it be on the pathways or something like that, where you sort of hit a pathway and hit a sign that says, hey, remember that you can only have 200 people in a gathering or whatever. And it may be obtuse to have it in a area which you're just walking, but it sort of just provides that information on an ongoing basis. And that was one of the things that I thought about moving forward for the messaging part. But Julie will have a lot more, way clearer and way better ideas than me. So
I really like that idea, Mike. That's a good one.
Yeah, I do. I love it. And how do we keep it positive? Like, I'd love to see a sign in a field that said, like, invite 199 of your friends,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We
yeah,
100 people here, right? Or something like, I'd be in trouble. I don't have that many friends, but some people might, right? And just to get that out in a really positive way. So not necessarily putting the limits in a like an enforcement fashion, but more of an invitation to.
yeah, exactly. This would be a great place for 50 of you to gather and enjoy, or something like that, right? I think that's a neat idea. So,
Yep. Well, and some of the graphics that the communication department have come up with throughout COVID have been really unique and kind of, warm feeling, like specifically the one around the bicycle length between each other. It's a positive message to say stay apart. And I think we pick up on that type of theme, that this is something both task forces can jump on board and share this outward. I think it's a good plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something we both have in common, is trying to get people out and like socializing into the businesses. So yeah, we could definitely put our forces together.
yeah, and have the common message. And I know that we've in the Shop Local campaign, we've saved about, I don't know, around $600 or $700, where it's a little slush fund. So maybe we could utilize that money to put some signage out that is, both task force are sponsoring the messaging of the town. I'm happy to do that, because we do have a little bit of wiggle room there. So
That's great, Mike. Thank you. Anybody else want to jump in? Put Mike on the spot? We can't let him off this easy, you guys.
nobody's made fun of my hair yet. I can't believe it.
It's in the
I don't
chat.
have any,
See it.
I don't have any questions. I think just comments that actually substantiate what you're saying, and also what we found through our data. And it also aligns with the data that's been run across the province. Some even specifically in Calgary, and some specifically in Edmonton. I can't speak as intelligently as I would have, because I haven't really read this really in some detail, but I've been trying to sort of isolate some of the variables that I think is significant, that are significant to what we're trying to accomplish between the two task forces. But there is a study that the Wave 1 results just came out in Calgary for June 2020. And it was data that was completed by Stone Olafson. So they've got like data analysts and all of it combined there. And it was about the intersection of arts, culture, sports, and recreation in a pandemic and post-pandemic environment. And when they submitted the survey, just from Calgary alone, they had like 500 respondents, but I think overall there was 13 across the province. But to your point, Mike, there's 83% are saying that they value the social connections now more than ever. Yet 44% are saying they're nervous on how to do that. So I think just by looking at this data, even outside of our own community, it's sort of aligning with, yes, these are concerns that we need to address, and how we communicate how to stay safe, like providing the masks and for those who want to wear them, they can wear them. But just providing a structure and a format that's consistent across. So people, if they want to walk into a business, that there's, a mask there, the sanitizers there, that things like that are necessary, that they're consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's why we really wanted to get out something that people would, follow. The pledge book that we have, I mean, it's very in depth as to, what people should do with what industry. And I mean, the communications team has done a phenomenal job. One of the things that I didn't tell you is that business development, Suzanne Goyesh, who works at the visitor center, and we just opened the visitor center today to customers, and she is nervous about it. We have, people who don't understand the social distancing as well. So, we're trying to work through that. But over the last month and a half, Suzanne called over 500 businesses and just said, how you doing? And a lot of them were, 95% of them were positive. We're opening. We think we've got this covered. We are moving forward. And it was a very positive message that said, look, we're gonna be okay. And I think that that's what we heard many, many times, is that we're gonna be okay. Yeah, they're nervous. Yeah, they don't understand maybe what the future is, but they had this attitude of, yeah, we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna get through this together. And they were very appreciative of the calls, but at the same time, it was really that message of, you know what, we can do this. And I think that if we can keep that positive message going and keep moving that forward, it should be great. I think that we'll be very successful. And the people who want to stay open and be part of the community will, and the people who want to get out there and start to see what normal looks like now will. So.
No, I would agree. We even ran the data through a sentiment analysis, and we got half joy and half fear. They were almost 50-50.
There you go.
Jan.
Just want to know if you've got any plans for smaller home-based businesses as well?
They're a part of the group as well. The Open and Safe campaign does not, it doesn't matter whether you're home-based or not. There are some home-based major businesses that actually have people come to their house, like salons and hairstylists and stuff that work out of their home. And they are more than welcome to sign up for this Open and Safe program. I think that we have heard from some of the home-based businesses that, that do get clients that come in, certainly want to make sure that people know that they are open in their area as well. So they're all a part of it for sure. And we did call some home-based businesses. We did mostly work on the retail side, but we have heard that some of them are anxious to get back. And a lot of people have morphed their businesses and have started to really look at online offerings, e-commerce, those types of things. They're shifting. It's always been said that, in times of crisis, people are willing to change more than when things are going okay. So I think a lot of people are seeing opportunity to do that. So.
Awesome. Anything else from anyone? I think in terms of the positivity you were talking about from businesses, we saw that in our survey too with residents. We asked one question about like what good has come out of COVID, or what are some of the positive things? And we got pages and pages from
Right.
Yeah, talking about like reconnecting with family and stopping some of the rat race that we all find ourselves in. So people were looking for those gold nuggets too, which was really, really great. It wasn't all doom and gloom that we heard.
That's awesome. I think that, for both task force, and I'm sure you've talked about this, there is no one silver bullet. And I think that we need to continue to layer on top of each other to ensure that, we have something that we can build off of and build on. And so, happy to work with the messaging. I think there's other opportunities for the two task force to connect together, but they'll come as they come. I don't think we have to force it. As we sort of keep connecting and keep information flowing between the two, bringing it back and forth, I think we'll see opportunity to do more for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, Mike. You are welcome to stay. Our meetings are intriguing, so I'm not kicking you out. However, we do understand that you're busy, and if you want to escape, we won't take offense to that either.
Yeah, I've got 30 businesses to get an Open and Safe package to, so I'll be on the road.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome. That was really great. It was nice to hear some of the ways. And I do think there's some synergies, and that communication piece is probably a really great way for us to start working together. Any more comments about the economic before we start moving into our agenda? All right. So public engagement, I'm just going to touch on this really quickly. We closed the survey on June 29th, so just this past Monday, with a total of 551 surveys. So we passed the 550 mark, which was, we were so anxious. We ended up with 2 last-minute paper ones that brought us over the top. And also I have more kudos to our task force. So we were contacted by Cold Lake, another municipality, and they would like to use our survey. So they want to copy it and send it out and use it for their residents. So, which is really cool. It's going around. So, which is fantastic. Yeah, I know. So very exciting. We don't have data today. So our team is trying to go through all of the data. And it's taking us way more time than we originally anticipated. And our team is kicking ourselves a little bit, just not having a data analyst to assist us with some of it. This survey is probably the biggest one that we've ever got back with this much qualitative data. So all of the pages and pages, I don't know what the end one was, but it was well over 100 pages of words from people telling us things. And we just want to make sure that we are capturing all of the themes and there's nothing that we're missing. So we will have that ready next week for everybody. We'll have a summary, high-level summary with the themes and what we're seeing. But basically right now what we're doing is making sure all of the words that people put into us are matching the quantitative data. So just to make sure everything's in alignment, we're not missing anything. So next week you can look forward to having those results. Any questions or comments around survey? All right, so on to grants. We had a really great discussion last week around, oh, sorry, Jan, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, how are we going to get those results back to the residents? They, you fill out these surveys all the time, but you never hear what actually happened with them. I think it would be very helpful to let everybody know what our results are. So I don't know whether you want to discuss that now or later, but I think that we should probably talk about how we want to communicate those results.
Yep, absolutely. Are you comfortable to be added into our goals when we're doing our goal setting and priorities, Jan?
Sure.
No, I think that's really important for us to do. We heard you, and kind of this is what we heard from our community. And maybe once we have our goals confirmed, this is how we're responding, would be something great that we could send out. So in terms of grants, we started to have a discussion around grant opportunities last week, and we landed on the possibility of applying for funding to support technology through the Emergency Response Fund for a couple different areas. So we talked about the amazing app that has been developed by Victim Services, Lauren and her team. And as well as an idea was brought up about having a confidential virtual forum available for us to do work with clients in a way that is completely safe and not able to get hacked into, where we'd be putting clients at risk. So I'll start with the app maybe. So Lauren and I connected offline outside of this meeting to talk about the app and how do we move forward. And Victim Services, super happy to continue to hold the app under their organization. Lauren has a link with the tech company already. So she was working with a company that helped kind of get it, at least give Lauren the advice to get it up and running. And she did the background work. But if she's successful, or if we're successful with the funding, think we'll continue to work with this company and be able to apply for funding to like enhance those features and kind of kind of hit the dream list of when this app was created, all the things that we didn't have money to do. So I don't know, Lauren, if you want to jump in or if I spoke wrong, maybe.
No, I think that hits the point. I do see that there's areas that we could improve the app. So having them look at it and figure out where maybe things were done in an amateur way and where things can be done to a professional level will help the app develop.
Awesome. So yeah, we're looking at potentially moving ahead with that. And the other thing, Lauren and I, we kept going back and forth, but an idea was brought up last week regarding expanding the app to somehow include businesses and that like safety piece and whatnot. And so we kept going back and forth on how could this work? What would it look like? And thought we'd bring the conversation here. One of our big, I guess, worries is if this app gets like too big, are we going to lose that original intent of that social, where people go for social resources to get that support, that piece? That was one of our worries, but we thought we'd bring it back here and see what do people think are our worries. I worry about everything for you guys that know me, but are my worries unfounded? Thought we'd open up the conversation. Cindy.
Hi, are you concerned about it getting too complicated and too diverse that people are going to get lost navigating the entire app?
That was some of our thoughts, or even purpose, because I guess what, like one of our worries that we talked about is if we're trying to make it big in an everything app, will it work and function like that, or do we lose? Because sometimes if things are too big, people don't use it at all either. So I don't know. We just thought we'd open it up and get people's thoughts. I'm not absolutely not close to it, but just that was one of the things in my mind is if we go too big, too broad, do we potentially impact that piece? Go ahead, Cindy.
Hi, I'm wondering if we, with the app that we already have going, if we limit that to like mental health, health and wellness throughout Cochrane, all those kind of services available that were brought up in the survey, and then have maybe a different Cochrane app for other types of businesses, like maybe have the two so that we are including all, but we're separating them. And then that relieves your concerns, Kim, on one app in particular becoming too big. Whereas if we focus the care app that we have on the ground running with the victim services, it would make sense for that particular app to be evolved with health and wellness and things of that nature, and then a different app for a more business Cochrane moving forward inclusion app, right?
And that was kind of our conversation. Not opposed, I guess businesses was the wrong word, not necessarily businesses, but more those businesses that are meeting the social needs. So making sure it was more that like resource focused, those needs. And I guess our concern was going to everything. So if it's an app for everything Cochrane, does that get too big? So not necessarily against businesses, or just having it focused towards nonprofit, but more that social kind of side. Yeah,
I see your reasoning for being concerned. So if I flip that around and look at, so maybe is one of the barriers to spreading the word for social programs, getting the word out, so I'm not saying that properly. Maybe we utilize the business side of things as another avenue to get more of the social programs out into the public. So if we limit the business interaction to just to the social things that we've already identified in our survey that kind of overlap into the economic side, and that one of them is already safety. So if you're not feeling healthy and safe, you won't go and shop. So maybe if we overlap that into the app and say, here's some businesses that are local and are healthy and safe, and then provide a link to that. And then if the businesses are on there, maybe they will then in turn share the app out to people who, maybe as a business owner, you're feeling like you need some mental health support or financial support or all the other things that our app would help with. So maybe you utilize it as a tool to engage with more people, but limit that amount. It's like, we're not going to be the savior to all businesses, but maybe we are only going to provide an opportunity to some of those to get the word out to people. But at the same time, we're enclosing a social program and a link to help for everybody that uses it.
absolutely. No, and absolutely see your point. Then if we're doing the business piece, would it not have to be open to all business?
Yeah.
Right? Like you'd want to make sure that if it does have business or no social, that it would only be useful if it was a really comprehensive list, right?
Yeah, I'm just brainstorming here. I didn't say I had the right answer.
Sorry, Jan, I'm keep ignoring your hand that was waving.
That's okay. I think this is something that we need professional advice about on how big it should be and stuff, and how they can set it up so that it's clear. If you want information on businesses, you go this way. I think you could have an app that did all of that, probably. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you should be able to. But I think that's a professional kind of thing. That's an app designer kind of thing. How to set it up and how to make it work properly so that we can incorporate whatever we want into it.
Yeah, for sure. But we'd have to decide what we want, right? We would have to give them that.
I understand, but if we get some advice from them on how to set it up, and maybe that would alleviate some of our concerns. So you can ask them for advice on that kind of stuff.
Go ahead, Lauren.
So it's easy enough to pop in another tab and it would be off the menu. I think it's just a matter of, does it take away from sort of like when we first got together and sat down and talked about the app and what we wanted to create, the mission and vision of what that app would be. And if you go back to the name, it's Cochrane and Area Resources and Essential Services. So I think we have to figure out too, is what are our resources and essential services that we want the community to have information to, and how do we want to present them with that?
I think the safety piece and what people need to actually, the type of safety and the type of safety information individuals need in our community, it isn't out there consistently. And some of that is preventing people from going into businesses. So I think it still ties into the tab and the cluster of safety and being connected to community. So I can see the value in terms of letting people know, here are places in our community that have, you know, where it's safe. Because if someone's immune compromised, for example, well, you know, I want to go in and see what areas have been, you know, what areas are insisting you wear a mask. Because maybe that's important to that person if a business insists you wear a mask. So that might be the place they go. But just for them knowing that they've got some options and knowing what those are in the community might be of some value. Because some of this I see is this is like COVID related, and in the future that would just roll off, so to speak. But if there's something else that comes up, like a, heaven forbid, another pandemic or something related, it allows that one link of communication, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and we actually went back and forth on that today, going, is this long-term? What do we need short-term? Is it different right now versus what we're looking at long-term? So absolutely.
And I definitely see that tie-in. I think that makes the connection, like that identifies sort of what businesses we would put on there, because it's linking back to the whole point and an idea of the app.
So almost a linkage with the Shop Safe initiative. And if businesses have, sorry, Nicole, you're flashing at me.
Me. I was just gonna, in order to kind of appease that, the town of Cochrane is already gonna have that on the website with the shop local, open and safe, right? So if we can have something on there that says, are you wondering what businesses are doing to keep you safe? Click on this link and it pulls you into that website. And then we're not worried about keeping that updated either. That's being done on that other side as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Nicole. So in terms of app, Lauren, can I give you a little bit of a job to go back to your tech people and maybe just ask a few questions, take a look maybe at budget and what we'd be looking at in terms of enhancements, and so we have a pretty good idea of where we'd be looking.
I was gonna ask, are we asking for a quote? Is that what you're saying, Kim? Is like a quote for services, and then maybe their advice on what Jan was saying, like what's their advice on taking this bigger or keeping it nimble, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So we have a ballpark figure. So when we have to make a motion, and we'll get there pretty quick. But if we're moving forward with a grant application, just so we know what we need in terms of dollars. And then we'll add a little bit to make sure we're okay. Awesome. So we had those two ideas. So enhancing the app and then having a confidential virtual space. Did anyone else have any ideas over the past week about technology? Yes, Jan.
I thought, because of what Mike was saying earlier and talking about this, making the signs up for around town, can we put some money in for that kind of stuff as well?
Potentially, yeah. We can put money in for
I-
anything that we desire.
Well, I think that if that's a good idea, which we have to talk about really a lot more probably, but if it's a good idea, the money has to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah, we could add that into like our communication with the app too, and enhancing that knowledge and what people. So absolutely.
Well, we
Easier
also
to
know
spend their money than town money.
And our data has shown that people have been really, like, we don't need to help people find negative information. There's enough out there. And you need 4 positives to you know, wipe out every one negative. We know that that's part of that science piece too. So just to have a reframe in terms of that communication piece, that's, to your point, Jan, that's going to costs some money. So yeah, I think that adding that into communications would be an asset to supporting community and community wellness and how people are interpreting their current experience. Because we saw, I think it was like, I don't know what the 70 some percent were really impacted by all the negative media and social media. And so it'd be nice to see something a little more positive around our community, sort of balancing the message out.
Absolutely. Any other ideas that would link into grants, communication, getting the word out, connecting people?
So I have been thinking just about some of the themes that have popped up, and I guess sort of what we want to do as a task force. And one of the things that I saw, or one of the trends, was that people were asking for some information or webinars. Some people were sick of it, but some people were asking for that. And would it be beneficial for us as a task force to come out with some like mini series of different topics that people have identified as trends or issues or areas of need, and then we're able to provide some webinars or presentations to the community at large on like a Zoom platform or something like that. So it's information.
What are people's thoughts? Got a thumbs up? Lots of thumbs up, Lauren.
So Lauren, are you thinking like specific topics, like say if it's mental health, we do one specific to that. If it's financial, there's another. You can sign up for these individual specific oriented calls.
Yeah, yes. So I think identifying some of the key issues, like some people have identified that they're worried about their kids' health. And so some could be supporting kids or teens. And yeah, different topics. And then people could sign in, log on. So it's almost like a mini conference or guest speakers, and it'd be available for the whole town. And I think it would be something positive, sorry, if we're able to come together as a task force and say, we were able to bring this to the community. You've identified that these are some of the areas of need, and here's some avenues that, or some information that can help you.
Love it. Also provides that avenue for people to connect, whether they're really getting help specifically to move forward, they're at least connecting with other people and talking.
Yeah, and I think that would be going back to Jan's original, how do we get this out to the community? I think it would be awesome to be able to deliver the results and say, and here's kind of how we're responding, right? And some resources and information. I think that ties it like all up really nicely.
Yeah, and to Lauren's point, there were comments made from individuals who were disconnected from the community because whether it was a disability or an illness, or they had something limiting them to getting out in the community. And because they were free programs that were offered via Zoom, they met people in their community, and they're actually worried that this might stop post-COVID. So to Lauren's point, I think it's a brilliant idea. And I think that's something that we can actually, we should actually try and find ways to maintain it and change them all the time. It should be something we keep. So do we need to apply for funding, Kim, for, I don't know, bandwidth, or like, because it almost would be, I don't know, all this Zoom stuff, right? So who pays for that? If we need extra, like I know there's individual people in their homes, but it means filtering that information out. So
we'd have to do some research. I don't know. I guess it would depend on the topics and the speakers, and what that would look like. So if we're looking at paying facilitators to actually be able to create programs around the topics that we're giving them, that would cost some money. I don't see Zoom or any of our like forums that we've been using. We have those, and those are already available. It would be speakers and those funds to actually hire somebody to do the programs. But I think we could definitely throw something like that in. And if we go with kind of the theme we're applying for money to increase knowledge and awareness and respond to the needs that we've heard from the community, this could very easily be built in, where we could put some funds aside to be able to get some different speakers in. And it would just be a case of booking and providing that virtual space, I think.
I also see, Kim, when we're offering like community, like say if FCSS is offering a, down the road when we've got the space and the COVID pieces, we're allowed for more people to communicate in groups. It would be nice if we could also stream those through Zoom at the same time for those that are isolated. And it allows, and then they're connected to people in group and on site and off site. So again, it allows the community individuals in our community to be more connected as well.
I actually have that written down as my wish list to see if the task force would support that going into an application. But our meeting room downstairs at FCSS is used a lot by our organization, by groups that we offer the space for free. So people that different groups can use it as well. And one of the things that's come up as our team is, at least right now, being able to offer some small in-person groups. We know there's people that don't want to log in virtually. So we want to offer that option of getting a group of like 6 to 12 people in a room and doing that face-to-face. But also having, and I don't know what the technology is, but like a video conferencing, or like you're saying, something where we can be doing an in-person group that's also available virtually, where people can participate with the in-person and virtually at the same time. And I think it would meet the immediate needs right now, but I also think looking into the future, it's about accessibility. It's about us reaching our rural clients or those clients that don't want to walk through the doors to access services. So yeah, something I'm really excited about. So I don't know how people feel about that. If you want me to go ahead, I can talk to our IT department and see if they can look into a quote. I don't even know what you need to do this. I don't know how fancy it is or what is required, but
I think we have most of this already internally, Kim. I think we just need to increase our membership or subscription or whatever we're using, because I've been hosting some fairly large meetings. So we might just we could utilize what I've already got in place financially. But I think you're right. We just need to nail down an idea of cost on facilitation, or, or maybe we do a telephone town hall for part of it.
yeah, potentially. So I'll look into it and I'll connect with our IT department. We're a little more ancient at our building. Jeff, we just got a TV in our basement. We used to use a projector, and now we're so excited that we have a TV in our wall down there. So we are a little bit more out of date in our center. But yeah, I'll look into that. And the other thing on my mind too was with Big Hill Havens, Cindy, if we're applying for funding, I know you are looking at your cell phone program and like data and making sure people are safe. Is there anything grant wise that would support that initiative? Oh, you're muted, Cindy. Oh, still muted. There you go.
Hi, sorry about that, Kim. I was having my computer is possessed, I think. Just as soon as I was gonna talk, it like disappeared, right? And then I'm like, oh my goodness, where are you? Anyway, thanks, Kim, for yeah, with the Big Hill Haven and the cell phone. That would be incredible to be included in that because I feel that will just help all the women move that much with their recovery and help to have that the funding for the cell phone plans. I think that would be huge for them, as a lot of them are leaving with not very much and certainly not the resources for their own cell phone plans. Also, when they are leaving or fleeing their own personal situation, the cell phones that they may have might be compromised by their abuser. So it would be better for them to be going into a new plan. So that actually would be an incredible help as far as the cell phone campaign. And then just getting the cell phone campaign out more. We've been advertising or announcing it on the Cochrane Shelter Facebook and Instagram. I put it out there on Cochrane Living, and I'm looking for ideas too as to how to get that out more to the community, just to get that ball rolling, and possibly having the plans in place as well, or funding for that might encourage more people to drop off their cell phones.
No, absolutely. I think we could definitely include it. I think we can try to go fairly big, and we'll see what the response is. And I think we can dream a little bit and put it in. We may not be completely successful. It's hard to say, but if we don't try it, we don't know, right? So anything else on the wish list for the community? All right, Nicole, do we need like to even start looking? I don't know how, like, what the procedures all are. Would we just not need a motion until we have our information and we're ready to actually apply?
Let's motion to start pursuing, just to start the process of it.
All right, so I'll need someone to make a motion that the Social Recovery Task Force starts the process and gathering information in order to submit a grant application?
Yeah.
All right. Lauren, awesome. All in favor? All the hands. Perfect. So I think we have several areas that we're looking at. So Lauren, if you will look into the app piece and connect with your person and see kind of a rough idea of what the cost would be, what the possibilities are, what they think, that would be great. Cindy, can I task you in terms of cell phones and data and what that could potentially look like, and bring that back in terms of like dollar amounts? I can take a look and talk to our IT department about seeing what bringing us into the century would look like in our meeting room for some virtual ability, and see if they can provide me with some information there. In terms of signs and communication strategy, we can reach out to our communications department and see what their thoughts were around what that would look like. Did I miss anything? Speakers. If we were looking at a speaker series, I think we could just put a random amount potentially in. It's hard to source that out initially. So we've done enough of that work, I think, as a group collectively, that we can just pick a number and stay within our budget. That's what we do as nonprofits, right? So perfect. So that'll give us a starting point. And if people could maybe provide me with the information that you gather by Wednesday of next week, the 8th, that'll give us a starting point, and then we can come together and talk about the actual grant itself and getting that in and getting it submitted. Sound good? Excellent. All right, so next on, we've kind of done, I think, some of this already in terms of the grant, but I just wanted to revisit the goals and priorities. So I've been writing frantically on my paper already, but we've had a few different conversations around what can we do, what can we influence. Last week, we came out with a few concrete goals. Want to make sure they're still sitting okay with everybody. First one was developing a coordinated communication campaign to increase awareness of the resources that are available. The second one was to develop a strategy to encourage innovation amongst community groups and residents to create opportunities to connect safely. And the last one that we talked about was providing an information session for our nonprofit organizations. So the survey for our nonprofits is going up today. And our hope was to get a group of all of our nonprofits into a room, share the data, the grants that are available, and make sure they're aware of what's happening in the community. And in terms of other goals, I added the speaker series in as something that this task force would like to move forward with, and disseminate results to the public as well, figuring out a way to do that. Is there anything I've missed? Do people feel like I actually captured what was said last week in my notes?
We talk a little bit more about the attendance-based activities that the town could provide, promote. I can't remember if that was something we spoke in detail about or not, or if we were just sort of getting in the beginning of whether or not we could do it, because I know the number, it's changing all the time of how many people can gather.
Would I put, like, in terms of goal, and we could make it a little bit different, but it was more developing a strategy to encourage innovation, like amongst community groups and residents to do that piece. I can word it differently if that doesn't speak to people. More explicit, Terry, do you think, or like specific around town events?
Well, we've got like neighborhoods and communities initiating on their own and providing ways of how to do that and making sure that the campaign strategy is really clear in terms of what you can and can't do, like those kind, the Alberta Health Services guidelines. I'm just wondering about the attendance-based activities that the town would be hosting. Is that something that can be included or not?
Provide me an example of an activity that the town would be hosting.
Maybe there's a community event in the park and you have food trucks that come up for the community event. That's sort of another way of getting, people involved in the social piece, and the ask that that's within the data. People are saying they want to participate, they want community events. Or are we going to be limiting them to neighborhood asks only? What does the group think?
These virtual meetings suck.
So true. I'm going to put that as a goal, in-person task force meetings.
I actually had that as one of my things I'd like to bring up. If we could try and do that. I don't know if we can, if it fits everybody's schedule, but
I got approval to meet in the FCSS basement as long as we have 15 people or less in person. So we could definitely, and it's gone through the ECC, like I got the stamp on it. So we could look at doing it.
it's a good goal to work towards. I like your idea about using the I forget what you called it, something super intricate and specific, like the community-based
Attendance-based activities.
Attendance-based activity. That's awesome. I gotta write that one
My
down.
word, it's just from all the research I've been going through, so it's not my word.
Well, and I think we were talking about this last week, and it's like something like the bridge opening, for example. There are a number of these types of events that the town, and generally through my office, we're orchestrating or planning for. So if there's an opportunity to piggyback some of this in there, I think we should be doing it. 100%.
Well, the reason I'm suggesting it, I guess maybe more than once and strongly, is just in the research, it's saying that part of the reasons people attend these activities is not just to be entertained, but it's to socialize, it's to support my community, it's to spend time with my family, and all of those needs and wishes are strongly indicated in our it's in our data story. And the story within the data is saying, I want to be safe, but I also want to get connected. And some of these activities and these initiatives would certainly address it, because the data story is saying 57% do it to connect with friends and to be social. And that's where community matters. And I think what's happening right now is a really good opportunity for those who have been disconnected. It's a really good way to use that inclusion lens and bring people together.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I guess my question is, what is our role, like as a task force? Are we doing something to set the precedents for the community, or are we encouraging other people to do it? Or is one of our goals to make a recommendation and direct administration? Or like, I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the actual goal?
And I think it's a recommendation. I think this group could do something if we want. I think that's a lot to ask of a volunteer task force to go and plan and do something. We can if everybody has the energy and wants to do that. But I think our intent was that this group just provide that recommendation to council and say, we think you should add this, or you should do this when you think about that, or pass this policy to encourage this behavior. That I think that's what I'm hearing.
Yes, I'm out. I know it sounds like I'm out here, but Kim always brings it in here. She's really good at doing that. That's why her and I go like this all the time, which is great because it helps with the story. I agree. Yeah, it needs to be part of the campaign, and in the campaign is the story saying this is what people are asking for, and these are some of the solutions we're offering. So if you're wondering how best to do that, here's how we do it.
So
Safely.
it's an advocacy role, right? Like we would be advocating for that. Okay.
Well, and it's the short-term wins, I think, that, and it goes back to Jan's idea of how are we going to share results. So this is another way to do that. This is what we heard, and this is some of the solutions that we have, and this is our recommendations for you to do it. And then there'll be others that we have more direct ones, and then we have some long-term ones that maybe it's the marketing and the messaging and the signage, etc.
Perfect. Any other thoughts? Can I tell you what I have written down again to make sure that I'm actually following and listening well? All right, so developing a coordinated communication campaign to increase awareness of resources that are available. We have invited communications to our meeting next week as well, so that'll kind of kickstart that goal. I changed my wording, Terry. I'm hoping I capture you here. Advocacy to encourage innovation amongst community groups and residents to create opportunities to connect safely. Linking that into the communication campaign as well. No, is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
Trying so hard. But honestly, does that capture what you were?
Yes, it does. And if I think differently later, I'll let you know. But I think that's good.
I appreciate that. Third one was developing a plan to disseminate the results to the public and show them how we're responding. So with the speaker series being one of those ideas that we can put together. Lauren, does that capture you? And Jan, that gets your stuff in? Awesome. And then finally, information session for nonprofit organizations to, again, disseminate the results for our organizations and provide information on funding and create that opportunity for collaboration and people to get together to work on the different needs. Did I miss anything?
I think so.
Sorry, Jeff?
I don't think so.
Does that sound good? Those are pretty big goals.
I didn't even know my mic was on. Sorry.
They're pretty big goals. I think they're attainable and is going to definitely give us some work ahead.
I think as part of that sharing the results, I think that should also be sharing our recommendations. Just to come back to people and say, we heard that you're sad, or we heard that you're, whatever. Well, what's our ideas? Like, so what's our response to that? Even if it's, we're working on this, or we're going to have a plan to recommend to council to do that. I think people will also need to feel not just heard, but also what are we actioning? What are we doing about it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we heard and this is how we're responding, right?
And it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I like that, what Mike said, that, he made me think twice, because that the economic task force is really driven about we want results now. We want to get something out there now. We need to act quickly. Well, we do, but we also need to, to his words, there's no one single solution. This will be multifaceted, layers upon layers of helping people and adapting. I think that's got to be part of our messaging, that there's not going to be one big solution and here it's $1 billion and it'll fix it. It's lots and ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are some quick wins. I do think we've done a good job. Like, I know it probably seems a little bit slow and steady, but my philosophy is always like, if you slow down kind of in this beginning and we get a good plan and we develop some timelines and some like goalposts that we can achieve, we'll do it. So we'll get there, you guys. Bear with my slow and steady pace. Anything else in terms of goals, or do you think that gives us enough to work on for the next little bit and we can keep revisiting and hopefully tick a few boxes? Awesome. Okay, so last thing, I guess we're moving into new business now, council presentation. So Jeff, you were right. I had absolutely no problem getting a spot on council for July the 13th to present an update for the task force. So we're on the agenda. And what I was thinking, I'm assuming I just made an assumption that you guys want me to go and represent, although I will throw it out saying if anyone else wants to go and do the presentation to council on the task force and where we're at, it's open and available, and I'm not hoarding the presentation. So everyone is avoiding eye contact at this.
All yours, Kim.
Everybody was turning their cameras off there for a minute.
Right. I'm happy to go represent us. Basically, my thoughts were to provide an overview on the public engagement survey. By next week, we'll have data back from the organizational survey as well that we'll be able to share out with council, and then share some of our big wins. I think it's important for council to know the success that our survey has had, from it being used from other places to the high response rate. I'll be just spreading kudos all around for this group, and as well as talk about some of the goals that we've just kind of set and talked about, and let them know where we're going, throughout the ideas that we need to start encouraging innovation and encouraging people to meet, and some of the implications if we don't start encouraging that. So you guys are okay with my approach?
Yeah.
It will be on July 13th. It's a Monday evening. It is live streamed, so you all can watch from the comfort of your homes if you so desire. Riveting stuff that happens there.
You should be presenting from the comfort of yours too.
Yeah, I will be. I come into the office so my dog doesn't bug me during my presentation. So. Awesome. Well, we went through the agenda. Is there roundtable? Does anyone have anything that they want to share?
I just want to say thank you for all the work that has gone into the survey and all the work that's being done over the last week and will continue to be done, because that is just a huge amount of data. So yeah, really good job, ladies.
The kudos actually goes to Terry and Nicole. So they do all the work and then they give me information and I say it and I sound intelligent like I've done a whole bunch, but they actually deserve all of the kudos. Thanks, Lauren. Nicole.
I have that message from Susan that I could share that she sent to me. She was unable to make it today, but she said the only thing I can add right now is around communication. For long-term recommendations, I think we should ensure that fiber is put into all areas of Cochrane, particularly when the roads are being built and upgraded. We have learned that communication is extremely important during these times and have needed to prepare for future difficulties. So she wanted me to just share that. So I pulled that up, but I don't know if we want to add that into one of our goal recommendations or table it, or what do you guys think?
I know where she's getting that from. It's council, and maybe just a little bit of feedback or background. Council over the past few years has been investing in the fiber. So every time we, make a link, it started out as a way of town facilities connecting with one another. And now it's growing into maybe we can connect businesses. We've got a couple of larger tech businesses this year that have come onto the fiber network that we're kind of doing a pilot project for. Garmin's one of those. Four Eyes was one. I think the rec center is now on, and Spray Lake Sawmill was going to be another one. There's about 6. The long-term future of that, and Susan's right, it's about connectivity, connection, communication. And I do share her concern for that, if that type of investment were to be cut by council, that the long-term ramifications of that would be negative throughout the community. So I think she's got her efforts in the right direction with this, that it's just something that maybe as an aside recommendation that we could say, continue to, invest in fiber. So just as I do agree with her. It's something that it would be an easy mark for council to go, say next year, if we're in a really difficult budget year, to go, let's not put so much into that. And then we build 1A and 22, for example, and we don't have the money to put fiber to the new RCMP detachment. And then that would be a huge miss. So.
Jeff, does fiber mean, like, if we have fiber running through a community or down a road, does that permit for free Wi-Fi? Is that, or what is?
All we're doing is putting in conduits so that we can put fiber in and running the fiber. It's called dark fiber until it's used. I know way more about fiber than I've ever wanted to. And then when you actually connect it lights it up. So it becomes not dark fiber, it's fiber. Yeah, but it does give the opportunity to provide Wi-Fi. So one of our ideas when we were doing the Smart Cities program, and we're still working on this, is that all of the bus stops could have fiber to them and become Wi-Fi hotspots, so that every single person who has a phone, they wouldn't have to use their data to be able to hail a bus. They could use, or if you just want to sit in a bus stop and message somebody or call someone, you would be able to use your Wi-Fi and not your data. So it's a bigger envelope, and Susan's really on the right track with this. Is a good idea. It's economic and social. I think it's both.
Are people in agreement for putting that in as, I guess, advocacy work?
Well, it definitely ties into the social piece. It allows, because data is expensive on a phone. So if we're looking at being, providing and being inclusive for everyone in our community, and they're accessing, it allows quicker access to resources, and it's a connectivity piece, and you're not having to pay for it. So it's huge looking forward, like down the road. So yes.
One of my kind of goals was to have Wi-Fi as a utility by the community, so that we would provide like a downtown or we'd start downtown, but it'd be nice if we had a Wi-Fi network in Cochrane that was just residents, you just, when you're in town, you can link up to it and you just walk around town, you're on Wi-Fi. It's just something that we could do. I think it would
Well,
put
we
us
see-
above other communities as well.
And those who don't have, like, even for our clients who don't have data left on their phone, if they were living in a place where you have that connectivity, they can call in and they can send in a request, right? So I think that eliminates a barrier, Jeff, for sure, for some of our residents.
What we could do, Kim, instead of asking everyone for their opinion in this at a kind of an 11th hour, is maybe have Kevin from the town come and do a little, just like Mike was here today, he could do a 15-minute presentation. He's the fiber coordinator for the town. He knows what's linked, what it is. Yeah, you know Kevin. I think that would be a good, guest speaker for us. And then we can decide after that if we want.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nicole, for bringing that up. Anything else?
The only thing I would add is I had prepared a speech for yesterday that I didn't get to give, but I really wanted to share with someone that I really miss Canada Day. Like there's been some things about COVID that have been, kind of nice, being home more, seeing my family more, it's a slower pace kind of in a lot of ways, not having to leave home. But yesterday I went to the flag raising ceremony as mayor, and there was, maybe 25 or 30 people there. It was just awful. Like the ceremony itself was really good, don't get me wrong, but I really missed the pancakes, the people, the getting together and connecting. And just, I think maybe because it's been highlighted from the survey results that we're getting firsthand was really front of mind for me. And it's just, we got to do something different. We got to get people out and connected. And the fact that we can have 200 people together, we got to find a way to, we've been saying all this already, but it just, for me, it really hit home yesterday. And then the virtual Canada Day celebration, as well as it went off, I think what I noticed out of that was the community events, like the food trucks in each each community, and then the reverse parade that went around. Just the results on social media really identified and hit home the survey results of, like, people are just missing seeing their neighbors and friends. So it just really, for me, it was just like, man, this is so awful. The first day it didn't rain, we didn't have anything at Mitford.
The food trucks were awesome, though.
Anyway.
No, they had food trucks in every community. I'm over in West Valley, and they had a food truck there, and it was actually incredible. It was like a little mini event happening, and there were like 1 million families, and I was actually shocked because I hadn't seen that many people in a long time, but all sporting their red, and they were sitting in the Mitford School parking lot. Like, it was actually pretty beautiful to start to see a few people. It wasn't huge, like definitely Mitford Park, but people are starting to come out a little bit, and they need those, because they wouldn't have gathered there had there not been a food truck, right? Or something.
Need a reason.
Yeah. So we just need to put, I don't know, food trucks or random things throughout, and people will start to come together because they're craving it. But yeah, it was a strange day yesterday for sure.
Also, I'm very thankful for where I live. Cochrane, Canada, Alberta, we got it going on.
Does anyone else have anything that they want to share or add?
I'm just in agreement. I just think, let's get the message out about how to socialize safely, and let's find ways to promote it. Whether it's, playing in the park of Mitford and someone's there, in a Safeway singing and you have little circles where people's, like, however it has to happen, people can be pretty creative, but people are missing it. And I think until we start doing that, I don't think we're going to change or address the sadness and identify exactly that need that's missing. So.
I have just one really quick update that's off topic, but FCSS will be open to the public Monday. So July the 6th, we'll be opening our doors. We've divided up into 3 different teams. So we have Team A, Team B, and Team C, and are rotating. So we'll have a small team on site. And right now we're just working through how do we do what we do safely and making sure we can open it. And it's way harder than you think it is. So, but Monday we'll have our doors open and we'll be able to start seeing clients again face to face, which we hear people are missing tremendously. They don't want to talk to us on the phone, and they definitely don't want to talk to us like this. So yeah, Monday. Any final thoughts before we shut up for the afternoon? All right. Well, have a great week, everybody. Those of you that ended up with a little bit of homework, if you could get me information by Wednesday, that would be awesome. And we will see you all next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care, everyone.